Hello, and welcome to 30 Minutes. I'm Patty Stocker, and I'm joined today with Crystal Arnott, the Communications and Fundraising Manager of the Lowell Humane Society, and I'm here with Jill O'Connell, and she is the Executive Director of the Lowell Humane Society. How are you guys doing today?
Great,
Good. Thanks for having us.
Oh, I've been doing this adoptable pet program that runs on our website, and it's also in our news program, featuring a different cat every week for adoption at the Lowell Humane Society. And I wanted to bring you guys in and talk about some of the other things that are going on over at the shelter. So you've got a great staff over there, both your paid staff, your volunteers. Whenever I'm in there, they're working so hard, and they're really incredibly affectionate and knowledgeable about the pets that are up for adoption there.
Thank you.
Thanks, we appreciate that. We have about a staff of 9, and we have probably close to 200 volunteers that come on a regular basis to the shelter. So we definitely rely heavily on our volunteers to help get everything done. And you've been in the morning, so you see how chaotic it can be to get everybody cleaned and fed and get them all ready for the day. So
now, how many pets do you have coming through in a year, generally?
It varies from day to day. Sometimes they're busier than others. We probably see close to 1,500 animals every year.
Wow.
Majority of those are usually cats, but we see dogs and everything in between. Anything that someone can own as a family pet that they sell in a pet store that you can find, we'll usually see in a shelter. Right now, I think we have guinea pigs and rabbits and parakeets and ferrets. But we've seen chinchillas and turtles and hamsters, you name it. We've seen almost everything.
Now, how much does it cost to run a shelter?
It's quite a bit more than I think people would realize. Between the daily operation costs of paying the staff, as well as just keeping the lights on, it runs roughly about $1,300 every day just to keep the doors open. And that's not even including the additional medical expenses that many of the animals have.
So that's just the day-to-day food, lighting, staff?
Exactly.
And medical expenses can run fairly high. I know that I was in recently and met Sophie, a beautiful, how old is she? She's pretty old, like 13?
Sadie, Sadie is
Sadie,
12, I think.
Okay.
And she's a beautiful cat.
Beautiful cat.
Lovely personality, very, very sweet.
But she had a recent surgery.
She did, yeah. She had a bit of a cherry eye, and it was, really bothering her eye and causing some issues. So she went in and had surgery to remove that. And that caused a sequestrum on her cornea. And that's a permanent condition. She had the surgery to remove the cherry eye, and she's recovered well from that. But she'll always have this little spot on her eye. It doesn't bother her most of the time.
But you guys, though, so that cost right there, that's just one cat, one surgery. Now, how much does something like that run?
It really varies. She had to see a specialist, so when we have to start to involve specialists in certain cases, whether it be orthopedic specialist or something for the eye, those are the things that can, just for a vet visit alone, can run $70 to $100 just to have them seen, and that's without any surgery. We're lucky to have some really good connections with some great veterinarians that do their best to help us out and will, cut us breaks on costs where they can, but definitely just the cost of specialists. Nobody can do their surgeries in their time for free, but we are definitely lucky that it doesn't cost us as much as the average person. But we're seeing specialists more and more often. We're seeing more and more geriatric or older animals that need specialty care, and we're providing that care. So it's great for the staff to be able to do this and to be able to do so much more for the animals, but it comes at a cost, and that's where we rely on our donors to sort of help us out and spread the word about these special stories with these special animals that need our help.
And some of the animals, it could be something as few as a few $100s, but then some of the orthopedic surgeries that are needed to care for hips or knees can run several $1,000s for just one animal.
So let's talk a little bit about, first of all, I guess, fundraising. And so where do you get most of your dollars from?
The community. The community is the biggest resource for us, and that comes from our volunteers and our volunteers helping spread the word. It's really good when you can attach a face and a name to a plea for money. When you put a picture of a dog like Bella out there and say Bella needs dental surgery and we're looking to raise $500 to cover the cost of that, people can relate to that a lot more. So we like to be able to let them know where their money is going and what they're doing. We do obviously do some general donation things just to help with the shelter, but people like to know where their money is going, and it's nice to be able to tell them this is what you're doing, this is who you're helping. But it's all the community. We're not state funded, we're not city funded, so all of our money and all of everything that we're able to do comes from private donations.
Really, 100%. Because I know some shelters do get money from the town or city.
Yeah.
But I didn't realize that you were a total, private fundraising organization.
Yep.
So what are some of the events that you have coming up that people should know about that could help with getting the word out or raising money?
The next big event we have coming up is on Thursday, November 10th. It's our Pause for Celebration auction, and we meet every year and have this really fun night. There's music, there are games, prizes, and then there's our auction component, which includes many items donated from members of our community. We have everything from artwork to jewelry. We even have a trip to Tuscany up for auction this year. So there are some really amazing ways that people can come get involved, purchase something that they may be, buying anyway, and get some enjoyment from that, but also know that their money is going to a good cause to help the animals.
Can people still donate to that if they have something that they want to?
Definitely.
Okay.
Yeah, we're accepting donations, all sorts of, whether it's a wine basket or if you have a condo or a timeshare you'd like to donate a weekend to, we'll take, donations of almost any size.
Sporting tickets. Anybody has season tickets to, Bruins or Celtics or Patriots, and they want to donate, a game to us. Things like that do really well.
I know. I was going to say those are always very popular at auctions for sure.
We also have sponsor opportunities. So if your business wants to get involved to actually, help us cover the cost of the event, so that all of the money can really go right to the animals, they can just contact us and get involved. There are opportunities for every price level.
Now, where is this fundraiser taking place?
This year we're holding it at the Tewksbury Country Club. It's a beautiful facility. They're really good to us. They have delicious food, which we'll have that night. We'll have some wonderful appetizers passed around. So it should be a really exciting evening.
Do people have to pre-register for that?
We do encourage people to buy tickets ahead of time. Tickets are $50, and that includes, the appetizers as well as, the entertainment for the evening.
That's completely reasonable.
And
Yeah,
we'll
that's
have
definitely doable.
a silent auction as well as a live auction as well. And some of the live auction items are really exciting. That trip to Tuscany is one.
Right.
We also have a villa in the Dominican Republic that'll be up for the silent auction, or actually at the live auction. So there's some really good opportunities to get a little getaway and enjoy yourself while making a difference for the community.
And when is that again? November 10th, you said?
Yes. Yep.
Terrific.
Thursday, November 10th.
Now, I know there's other ways that people can help out and donate. So I know that you have a Donate a Car program. You have a wish list, and people can volunteer. So can you talk a little bit about some of those ways that people can help out?
Yeah, definitely.
Like you said, there's lots of different ways people can get involved. Volunteering, I think, is one of the best ways to get involved. We have a great community of volunteers.
You really do. I've met several of them. They're just exuberant, and you can tell they really care. They just want to be there.
Yeah, we encourage people to become part of what we call the Lowell Humane Society family, because it really does feel like that. They're a very connected group. They communicate with one another really well. They communicate with the staff really well. So that's, I think, the best and most fun way to get involved. Not everybody has that time to dedicate though. So, as far as we have volunteers that just help us with transporting, getting animals back and forth to the vets. They may not be able to be in the shelter on a daily basis, but they have an hour or two a week that they might be able to give us to help transport. Donating in simple things, not talking about spending a lot of money, dropping off a bag of greens once a week. If you go food shopping, get an extra thing of broccoli or some green peppers and bring them by the shelter for the animals. Being a part of our events, attending our events and spreading the word. We do a lot through social media, so just sharing stuff. We have lost cats or animals up for adoption. Share it with your friends and family, and that's a simple, easy way to get involved. And of course, there's always adopting. We can't go without talking about Bella here. Bella is one of our dogs that's available for adoption. She's not very impressed by the cameras and is napping right now, but
she's been terrific, by the way. This took a little while to set up today, at least a half an hour, and she's just been wonderful.
Yeah, so Bella's 11 years old. She's a spayed female. She is available for adoption. We're looking for a home with older kids or adults. She has lived with dogs in the past, has lived with cats in the past. She's fully vetted. She's had all of her vaccines, and she recently had a dental, so that's been done already prior to her adoption. So that's, again, another way that people can help out. We have, like we talked about, we have cats and rabbits and guinea pigs and dogs. And all the animals that we do have available for adoption have photos and usually bios right on our website, so they can take a look at our website for that as well.
Now, what is the fee for adopting a dog? I know it's $125 for a cat. How much for a dog?
Dogs are $250, and that just helps to cover the costs. Again, they all come spayed and neutered, microchipped, vaccinated, and a collar and leash.
Right.
The majority of the animals that we have are usually having additional medical things done as well. If they're older, we're usually doing some senior blood work to make sure that they're healthy, there's nothing going on. In Bella's case, and in the case of a lot of other dogs, they're getting a full dental before going home. So usually the adoption fee doesn't come close to covering our cost and what we've put into these guys to make sure they're healthy and are going to make good companions and good pets for a family.
I recently adopted a cat from a local shelter, and I always joke and I always say, the best $125 I've spent in a long time, because they bring so much happiness and joy, and knowing, so my cat was 4 and she's a little feisty, and she'd been in the shelter for a while, and knowing that I was able to bring her into a home and give her that comfort that she needed. She was stressed and wasn't really, she was biting a bit, and wasn't really showing the true personality that she has now at home. Can we talk a little bit about that, and about pets that have been at a shelter for a while and how their personalities may change or how the stress may affect them?
Yeah, some of the animals come in and, you'd think they were right at home. They ease into it just fine, but those are also the ones that tend to move out quickly because they just relax and show their true colors right away. But many animals come in and they are stressed. You have to consider there are so many other animals in the shelter. Maybe they've never been around other animals and they're different species, so the smells, the dogs, cats, rabbits, and then there's the slew of people that just come through every day to say hello, and they're wonderful, really nice, well-meaning people, but they're picking them up and cuddling them, and that's a little bit stressful. And the smells of the cleaning agents we use to keep everybody healthy, keep the shelter clean, can also add, another stimulus that is a little stressful for them if they're not familiar with being around that every day. And the constant movement and in and out can also cause problems. So we like to remind people that they're under some stress and they need a little bit of patience, and give them a shot, take them home and let them settle in, and you can really get to know them better, once they're home with you.
That's definitely true. And so one thing that I was reading on your website, you talked about cats being, you being called that they think a cat is lost, or a cat is homeless. And that seems to be a bigger problem in the summer when the weather's warmer, and some people let their cats outside. And even though it's kind of discouraged, some cats may need it, and some cats may have, been outside their whole lives, so that being confined inside may be a problem. Let's talk a little bit about what you called as I may not be lost.
Big topic right now, and it's one that we have spent a lot of time addressing. And the problem is, a lot of people use the term stray cat, but stray cat means a lot of different things to a lot of different people. So what we've tried to use, and it's when you try to introduce new terms and use new ways of defining things, it can get confusing for people. So we've been using the term community cat a lot because we don't know that they're stray. If it's a friendly, outgoing cat that you just happen to see outside, he's probably belongs to somebody, and there's probably an owner that's out there feeding them, and there's in fact probably more than one person that's feeding this cat. So we don't encourage people to just pick that animal up and bring him to a shelter because they think he's lost. Most of the time they're not lost, but once you remove them from their neighborhood and bring them to a strange place like a shelter, now they become lost. And now it becomes a matter of time. People don't know what to do. They wait too long before they start to look for their cat. Like, oh, he usually comes home in a couple of days, and so they don't look for him right away, and then it becomes an issue. So we really try to encourage people, if it's a healthy cat that's happy, leave it where it is, call us. We'll give you some good advice so we can try and find out if in fact this cat is owned. And we have a plan in place for that. But we don't recommend that people just pick the animal up and remove them. And we give them some other tools to use. If the animal is sick, it doesn't look healthy, if it's injured, by all means, contact us and we want to help that animal out and we'll take them in. We're just trying to avoid taking in healthy owned animals that just happen to be outside. We encourage people to keep their cats indoors, but with what we do, we know that doesn't happen. We know a lot of people let their animals outdoors, and it doesn't make them a horrible pet owner if they do. There may be reasons that they do that, and we don't know all of that information. So we want to make sure that we're not just taking people's animals.
Right, penalizing them.
Right.
Right. So, so what would you say if someone thinks that a cat may be a stray? Is there some sort of protocol in place that you guys go through before you would remove the cat from, that neighborhood?
You can take that one, Kristen.
Yeah, we first of all, give us a call and we can chat with you if you find a cat. Usually, if they're very confident cats that are walking around or walking right up to you, they probably belong in the neighborhood. They're sure of themselves. They know where they are and they know their home. But if you're not sure, there are a couple of steps. Definitely first checking in with neighbors. And that doesn't just mean the person directly across the street and on either side of you.
Yeah, they wander.
Yeah, cats don't travel like we do. They don't follow the sidewalks. They go through your yard, over your shed, behind someone else's garage, and then through the next neighbor's yard. So checking, around the block to see if he belongs to anyone. And then there's also the paper collar method, which you can make a paper collar right at home with a piece of, scrapbook paper and some tape, or, notebook paper and some tape. Or you can get one from us, and we just write "Am I yours?" and your phone number on the collar, and then send them on their way. And then after about a week, if you don't get a call that you're like, hey, yeah, this is my cat, then it's safe to say that maybe he doesn't belong to anyone, and we can start the process, of deciding whether or not he needs to come into the shelter from there.
Is there a bigger problem now with stray cats, or does it seem to be getting better?
I don't think there's a bigger problem. I think that awareness has grown a little bit more, and people know that there's a safe spot for them to go, so maybe they're bringing them in.
Well, I guess what I mean is, do you seem to have more cats coming into the shelter, like more litters of kittens, or is that seeming to have gotten better?
It's definitely, the kitten part of it has gotten better. Okay. Awareness of spaying and neutering is helped drastically, at least in our community anyway. 5 years ago we were taking in 700 plus kittens, and that's down under 200 because there's been some really great spay-neuter initiatives that have taken place within the community. As far as adult cats, I think that there's just more and more responsible pet owners, which is a really good thing, but responsible pet owners don't think other people should let their cats outside. So I think there's more and more people that are concerned for animals' welfare and are trying to do the right thing by picking up animals or bringing them in the shelter, but maybe just don't have all the facts about the situation before they go ahead and do that. Just to add to Krista, one of the other things that we do offer people too is if they get us a photo of the cat, we'll make posters for them because cats do travel in different places. So instead of going door to door, not everybody's always comfortable with that, giving them some flyers to post up around the neighborhood, and we can put our phone number on there. And if we do get in touch with an owner, which a lot of times we are getting in touch with them, we talk to them about microchipping, because microchipping makes this whole process a whole lot easier. If we can scan a cat and we can find out who the owner is, we can get information and answers are a lot quicker, and that definitely helps us in what we're doing if we can encourage more and more people to microchip their cats if they're going to let them outside.
Do you know what I wanted to ask you? What if you have a microchip in your pet and then you move? So do you provide the new owner, the new pet owner, with a way to go about and change that address and phone number and all that?
Yeah, definitely. Yep. Any animal that comes in through our shelter, we will go ahead and register it. But if you were to get a pet from a friend or an acquaintance that is already microchipped, there are ways for you to go ahead and change that information. There's usually a small fee associated, around $20, and you just call the company directly and show them the proof that the pet is now yours, and you can transfer that information right over to you.
Another question that I had now, so we're talking about how to go about adopting pets. So what is the process that you like people to go through to ensure that it's a good fit, both for the owner and the pet?
That's changed a lot over the years. We try to be as open as we can and to make it as simple as it can for people. but we also want to make sure it's the right match. We do evaluate all of our animals, and we make, if we look at their history, and then we also look at how they've behaved at the shelter, and we make decisions as to whether or not we think they would do well with another dog in the household, another cat, or with young kids. So, it's really about making the right match, both for the people that are coming in and for the animal. We want to make sure that people do their own research. If they're looking for a particular breed of dog, make sure that they don't have any restrictions on their homeowner's insurance. And that's up to them to do that, but we encourage them to do that.
I know pit bulls can be a bit of a problem
Yeah.
with homeowner insurance.
Usually, most homeowner insurance don't have just pit bulls. If they have restrictions, they're going to have a list of about 10 to 12
Okay.
different dogs.
Okay.
Shepherds, Rottweilers,
Interesting.
Dobermans.
Okay.
There's a whole list of them. Usually, your larger dogs. But yeah, it's something that they want to check into, find out if mixes are okay, or and look into alternatives if there are other alternative insurance companies out there that offer coverage when you run into those situations. So we want people to do that research, check with their homeowner or their landlord, make sure that they're allowed to have pets where they are. And then again, just really, we try to focus on finding the right match for both the pet and the people. So.
And what about someone who may, and I'm sure it's very hard, may have to surrender a pet? How do they go about doing that?
We also try to make that as easy as possible for them. There's, of course, information that we want to get from them to be able to make those perfect matches afterwards. But we have surrender hours Tuesday through Friday. You come in during those hours, sit with one of our adoption counselors, surrender counselors, and just tell us about your pet and their medical history, what kind of food they like, what kind of games they like to play or toys they play with. And any information details you have about the pet that will help us to find that perfect family down the line. And then that's really it. You sign a few papers to sign them over to us, and then we help them find a new home.
Is there a fee associated with that if you're surrendering?
We ask for a donation, but it's never required because we don't want people to be stuck in a position where they don't have anywhere else for their pet to go. We're there to help, and while we appreciate the donations, we know that sometimes financial issues are the reason they can't keep their pet any longer. That being said, whenever anyone comes in to surrender, we always discuss other options with them because if we can help them to keep their pet, we want that to happen. So we have a pet food pantry. If people are down on their luck and need some assistance, they can come and get food from there.
Great.
If they are having a behavioral issue, sometimes our staff can help them to determine what's causing it and help them find some other ways to manage it so that they don't have to surrender their pet. So if people are thinking of surrendering, we always want them to call us and just have a conversation with us first. Because if we can help them keep that pet in their home, it's better for them, better for their pet, and of course better for us to have less animals to place.
Boy, there's a lot of services that you guys provide there. Are there any other upcoming events that you would like to mention?
Yes, on September 24th, we are holding a Savers Drive, and it's basically, everyone can do some fall cleaning, clean out their garages, their closets, and drop off any home items that they no longer want. We're really focusing on a clothing drive this time around. So from 9 a.m. to 2 p.m. on Saturday, September 24th, just come down to our shelter on 951 Broadway Street and drop off any home decor items, clothing, bedding, linen, and when we bring it to Savers, they'll give us a donation based on the weight of the items. And the last drive, we raised over $1,000.
Wow. Wow, that's terrific. What about other ways that people can contribute? I know that you have a wish list on your website.
We do. It's listed on our site, and we also have an Amazon.com wish list.
Oh, okay.
So you can go smile.amazon.com and look up Lowell Humane Society, and we try to keep that updated with the things that we need most often. So, cat litter, cat toys, some specialty foods that we need because some cats are just a little finicky and they, want something specific. So we try to update that whenever something, pops up that we really need.
And so what are some of the biggest struggles that you see with running a shelter?
The medical, I think, when the animals come in and they need a lot of medical care, trying to figure out what they need and how we best go about providing that for them. I think for cats, the biggest issue is really that adjustment period for cats. We have so many cats that come into the shelter that are just terrified. They've never been out of their home. They kind of shut down when they come in. And, we have to really dedicate a good amount of time each day to spending time with those cats and not overdoing it, but letting them feel comforted, giving them the food that they like, giving them the treats that they like, just soft pets, and then just giving them that time to adjust. When you're full and you have new animals coming in every day, you can kind of get caught up in the chaos, and we have to make sure that we take time to slow down and to give those animals those moments that they need to just help them feel a little comforted and help them adjust. What goes along with that is, you talked about other ways that you can help. Foster homes are huge for us. We used to utilize our foster homes mainly for kittens that were just too young for adoption until they get old enough, but we have so many other animals with needs now that as we see less kittens, those shy cats can really flourish and come out of their shells when they go into a foster home, as opposed to sitting in a cage in the shelter. All of this medical stuff that we're doing for these animals, they need recovery time afterwards, so those foster homes can really help them to recover better from surgery and reduce that stress as they get better. Litter box issues, cats come in. We see so many cats coming in with litter box issues that sometimes just a change of environment is all that they need. And if we can tell a potential adopter they came in for litter box issues, but they just spent 3 weeks in a foster home without any other animals and they did great, that's going to increase their chances of adoption. So, sometimes it's just a matter of taking that moment and slowing down and looking around you and making sure that we're doing what needs to be done for the animals. And the volunteers definitely help ground us in that respect and make sure they say, hey, how's this cat doing? Okay, let me take a breath and let me go check on that animal. So,
Well, I'll tell you firsthand, I know how dedicated both your staff is and the volunteers that are there. And, I come in every couple of weeks and, try to feature a new pet that's up for adoption. And, I can say firsthand, you guys do a wonderful job there. So it's 951 Broadway Street in Lowell, and your website is lowellhumanesociety.org.
Yes.
Okay. Jill O'Connell and Crystal Arnett, thank you. Oh, and Bella.
And Bella.
And Bella. Thank you so much for joining me today. And if anyone wants more information, you can go to their website, lowellhumanesociety.org, and also at westfordcat.org, and also on our YouTube channel, you can see the Adoptable Pet of the Week program. I'm Patty Stalker. Thank you so much for joining me on 30 Minutes.